Okay guys, in today's video I'm going to go over voting receive systems and talk about how they differ with P25 and how I created a poor man's version of it so that I could take advantage of the P25 radios and get a wide area coverage. But I wanted to start off by talking about how the system works as it is. And to start off with, I want to look at this drawing here and just kind of give you a brief overview. If you've never done voting receivers, it's basically just a way of taking multiple receivers that are all on the same frequency and tone, and digital or analog. And when any mobile user transmits, it can hit multiple, if not all, of the receivers, and all of that, all the audio for the receivers comes back to a central comparator that looks at it and decides which one is the clearest, and then routes that audio through into the system, whether it to be rebroadcast out in a vote steer type of situation, to it automatically goes back to the transmitter of the site it voted, or it could go to a central site, or it could go to no site. It could be up to the dispatcher's control whether it's rebroadcast or not, but it would definitely go to the dispatcher. But that would be a normal voting receiver situation. And in the analog days, what they would do is they would look at the signal to noise relationship, basically how staticky is the channel, and the receiver that had the least amount of static was the one that was voted and brought through. Well, when P25 came along, that really changed things, because the audio, there's no static audio from a weak signal to a strong signal in P25. They're both equally perfect. Except that there is a little bit of what's called bit errors when the P25 is starting to get weak, and that's when it mistakenly decodes a 0 for a 1 or vice versa. And when that happens at a certain limit, then it no longer functions and it cuts out. But it can kind of use that measurement as a way of analyzing the signal to see how clear it is. And that's what this Codan modern P25 voting receiver system does. It takes the same thing. Each individual receiver is receiving the same transmission, and each one is making the best reception that it can from its location, obviously. And each one will have either a good signal or a weak signal, but the ones that have weaker signals, they'll actually have errors in their signals, and those errors are recorded. So basically this receiver will say, yeah, for every 100 packets that I received, 3 of them it did not add up when I did their bit sum at the end. It did not match. So and it passes that data along over here to the smart controller, and it picks whichever one has the lowest bit error rate and selects that one as the voted receiver. So that's how it's done in a modern system. Obviously, these are all quite expensive to have a system like this. So I was looking for something. I have a very similar situation. I have 3, basically a territory that could be covered under 3 receivers, and I wanted to come up with a poor man's version of it. And let me show you what I came up with. Here it is, and what I have, like I said, the same situation, have 3 sites. Each one's going to have the same receive frequency and NAT code. And the question is how can I seamlessly go through or block out, the different ones? And let me go over how this is going to work. So anytime a unit keys up anywhere within the central area here, he's going to capture. He'll trigger a relay that captures the that locks the audio down from this site only. When it's less than this trip point of the central receiver, it automatically will go to the other two. Now, there's enough distance between these two sites, the north and the south, to where it is possible for a mobile user in certain spots to actually be able to make it all the way down across the entire area and be heard by the south end. But it would be impossible for it to not also be heard by the central site at a strong signal that would intercept essentially that and take over. So the default state is so if you're a mobile user up in the north end here and you key up, you're going to come in here. You're going to be below the threshold of the central one, and I'll go over how that works in a second. So you'll stay here. You'll default. You'll go into the console. Same with the south end. Just sitting there in its quiet state. You key up. Not enough to make it all the way to the central. You come into the south, come back into the console, same thing. Now, let me explain how and why I'm doing this this reduced threshold. What I don't want to do is when a unit up here in the north end keys up, I don't want the central receiver, because the central receiver will hear that unit, but I don't want that central receiver getting involved. So I needed to find a way to where I could put cotton in its ear, but not put cotton in its ear, and because I wanted it to be able to still perform, but I wanted it to react a lot less. Unfortunately, there is no adjustment like that for any kind of P25 situations. So what I did was I improvised, and I came up with a way to create a 20 dB hysteresis radio. And how it works is I put another receiver side by side with my main receiver, and the second receiver here has a 20 dB attenuator on its antenna input. So it's going to unsquelch or squelch, I should say, at the 20 dB sooner than this radio. So I'm using this radio as the initial trigger. So in order to trip the relay for the central receiver to grab control, this radio right here has to first be tripped in its deafened state. Once it trips and the COR goes low, which allows the relay here to be energized and flips the relay. Well, as soon as it flips the relay on, now this leg of the relay that is going to the COR of the central radio is now connected as well as this. So if this receive level drops below this threshold and this radio squelches, the relay will not release because it's still held by this radio up here in its COR. And it's got 20 dB worth of signal to degrade before this one up here will cut loose as well. So that's a huge margin to where there's no way a radio can drive 20 dB of signal away in one conversation. So this gives you a guarantee that once you trip the relay here, whatever caller is coming in is not going to even remotely close get to the failure curve of the P25 at minus 125 dBm. It's going to be well above that, and so you'll never hear the gook 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 of the when it starts to fail in with the weak P25 signal, and you get the digital decode failure. Once again, this relay to trip to grab the central site is going to grab at approximately anything above 105, and then it won't reset until it drops down to its normal 125 level, or the person releases. So, when it comes to the voting situation, what you're actually it's a vote between two. It's a vote whether it's going to be the north and the south or the central. Now, how I combine the north and the south is that both the north and the south are coming in on the intranet with our network, and they're coming in on through IP223s. And what I have is on the at the receiver, the main receive site here, the IP223 that they talk to, it's programmed in console mode, and I have a receive address of 0.0000, which says I'll accept packets from anybody that comes in that's got the right port number. So it'll essentially take either one of these. And in my previous example of, like I said, if someone was here and they were strong enough to actually trip all the way down here, yes, both of these would come in, and these packets would essentially crash. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do. I'm going to find out here in a little bit. But it doesn't really matter, because they're going to be relay blocked out. Whatever mush of audio that it produces, like I said, it won't matter, because the central site will have gained control. But all right, well, this is my big project here, and when I get it up and running, I'll do another video as a follow-up. Although I've been thinking it's going to be really hard to kind of demonstrate. It'll just be a I don't know, watch the relay click, but I will follow up with a video. But here's your P25 voting receiver without a comparator. All right, hope this helps, and we'll talk to you soon.